viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA. I'm Vibhuti Jha, and here we go again. And before I start, please like, subscribe, and support our channel. Give your feedback. Now, today I wanted to talk to you about a topic which has to be literally gone into in much greater detail. But I want to share with you the thought process. Is World War III coming, or it is just a hoax, drum beating, scare tactics to keep you embroiled and keep you engaged and keep you on the toes or on a hot on a hot stove? We do not know that. But what we do know is that the world is going through severe crisis of many silly, serious flashpoints. Flashpoints. You look around yourself and you realize that somewhere along the line, somebody is operating and pushing the button to keep the entire planetary positions, to use the astrological element, planetary positions for somewhere to egg on a war. We have heard about this. And we don't have to go back 100 years. Let's look at the last 2 or 3 years alone. And that's a remarkable thing. Remember one thing very clearly, that technology is the mover and shaker of this entire idea, because technology has brought about a tectonic shift in which in the way we communicate with each other now. Look at this. Today, I have the ability to reach out to you from wherever I am globally, whereas some years ago it was just impossible to think about it. Think about it, that way back in 1991 when I came here, so we used to pay $3.50 per minute a call to India. Now, in an instant, in a short time, we are able to communicate real time video for free. Now, that's the impact that technology has brought in the way we communicate. We no longer wait for 2 or 3 days for an editorial or news to appear in a newspaper. We know where we get our news from these days. Right or wrong, hyperbole or reality, we have no idea. We have to make a choice and a decision which news is more accurate from our point of view. That's the substance of it. But now look at the scenario. We have seen the war on terror going on for as many years, right? The entire Western world had ridiculed when the war on terror India was experiencing by saying that it was a freedom fight. Now the chicken has come down to roost, has come down to European countries, and you know what is happening. Entire Europe is really in deep trouble, where freedoms are being used, abused, misused to push a particular agenda. So let's look at the global flashpoints. Ukraine, Afghanistan was the way United States retreated from there. Ukraine, Israel, Middle East, Hamas, Palestine. You have India as a case as well. India, China, and you have now the unfortunate incident, power struggle that happened in Bangladesh, leading to the ousting of Sheikh Hasina. Now we know all that. People are contemplating whether the deep state did it, who did it. Nobody will claim credit for that. But to a layman and to those who are observing, it becomes very clear. Somebody is playing the game. Somebody is pulling the strings. Somebody is pushing somebody over the hill. And that's what is important for us to decide. So, in Israel and Middle East, now we have a scenario that Iran has threatened to launch an open war against Israel and has warned it for the consequences of Israel killing the Hamas chief in Iran when he was vacationing, holidaying, or had gone for a meeting. As we know now, Israel had planned it many months ago to detonate that place. So there is a lot going on here. Who is right and who is wrong is again a toss-up decision. Whose side you are on is again a toss-up decision. But the decision is important. Iran is trying to say Iran is going to attack, and Russia has supplied plane load of weapons if the news is to be believed. So right now we are looking at a very explosive situation. But my question is it a is it a portent for a third world war? Or is it just saber rattling? It is a very interesting thing. As the saying goes, the more things change, the more they remain the same. So, the war as an instrument of foreign policy, war as an instrument of forcing a decision, has always existed. Humankind has been at war with each other. Countries, in the name of expanding their territories, imperialism and colonialism, extending the thought process, or religious wars to impose one will over the other, has been going on forever since. In once upon a time, they were known as crusades and jihads, dharma yuddha. Everything is right there in front of us. So who will win, or is it just a hoax? I feel that the threat of war, what war used to do once upon a time, it has transcended into such a stage that through nuclear threat and electrical magnetic reasoning threat, EMR methods, you can paralyze a country. Today, so many countries are on the brink of a nuclear threat. Everybody knows the impact and implication of a nuclear war. It will annihilate the whole world. And I think everybody recognizes that because once you unleash the atomic explosion or atomic war or nuclear war, you are going to see world become a Hiroshima itself. I think nobody wants that. Even the threat of that is mere posturing, in my opinion. It is to use the nuclear thing as a deterrent, which I participated in a debate in my school in Netherhart. Is nuclear weapons are the deterrent for war, or is it actually not? So, deterrent for war, nuclear will remain a deterrent for war because everybody who has it and everybody who threatens to use it knows you use it and you vaporize. So that impact is very much clear. And I don't think anybody wants it, whether you are North Korea, Russia, United States, Israel, India, or anybody else. The one who uses will cause a vaporization effect that will be disastrous for the whole world. Terminator 2 will look like a joke. Yes, that's one thing important. The other part where the crisis comes from is the religious element of the war. You know that what is happening in Bangladesh? Hindus are being systematically attacked, raped, butchered, and killed. So much so that many people in America have written to their state legislature and congressmen and senators to attend to the issue of the genocide of Bangladeshi Hindus. There are millions out there. We know the history of that territory. Pakistan has systematically destroyed every single ethnic minority in its country. The population has dwindled to virtually a single percentage points. And the same thing is happening in Bangladesh. This is a serious matter so far as India is concerned, because India is under attack by the religious renegades who want to break India into many states, just as it happened in USSR when many USSR was broken up, designated as an evil empire, and demolished into many more countries than one. Russia is the remnant of breakup of USSR. That's a very important question for India to decide. And those religious elements are very active in India to make Hindus homeless in their own country, in their own state, because that's where they are pushing for the agenda. They are pushing for anything that Prime Minister Modi is trying to do, whether it's reference to social change, economic change, or political change, for the good of the country, eliminating the injustices of the past is being taken up as a cause to destroy India. Let's take the example of the Waqf board for that matter. Waqf board was established soon after partition to protect the assets of those Muslims who leave India for Pakistan, so that those assets were given to the Muslim Waqf board so that they are distributed back to those who come from Pakistan. It morphed into, it became a degenerated element that where Waqf board can take and lay a claim to any piece of land in India. And we have seen many of those instances. The government has not abolished the act, it has asked for certain changes in the act to establish what the Democrats talk about, or the Rahul Gandhi party talks about, of equity and equality. Why not? Why not prove the existence and give the evidence of your actual ownership? That's very critical, including women in the board, in the Waqf board, to bring about equality of justices. So if Ram Mandir could provide and go to Supreme Court, and Hindus had to wait for as many years to get it established that that was the Ram Janmabhoomi, and that's where the Mandir was established, re-established. Why can't the Waqf board prove that those lands that they're claiming to be theirs is theirs? Now you have seen Maulanas talking about dividing the country once again. These are another flashpoints where you can see a global conflict emerge, because this is not a single issue of Waqf, it is religious element, which is very, very critical. The other part, which is very important, European immigration, that itself could lead to a flash of a real social disturbance and political upheaval in Europe, for that matter. You know what's happening in UK. you know so UK is going through right now. You have a leftist prime minister in UK who is openly talking about the right wingers protesting against that as a right wing thugs, and he will use the state government power or military power or police power to stop them, the thugs. And he has openly said protecting the Muslims. Nothing wrong in protecting whoever is suffering. But the issue here is again back to religious and political ideology of right and left, Christians versus Muslims. Politicians abuse the process to their advantage. The current Prime Minister of Britain is obviously a left winger, and he is openly saying that he will attack the right wingers. That is again a problem, because in the process, who you support is Islamic agenda, who are already talking about a Sharia law in Britain. How do we expect that the Christians or the other group, the white people, will not contest that? Because if you are going to take over somebody's home where you came as an immigrant, you cannot claim that this country belongs to them. This is the scenario happening in the US as well. You have a US congressman who is a minority leader in the Congress openly make a statement that if Trump wins, we have enough legal maneuverings to make sure that he doesn't take the oath of presidency. When you have this kind of a rhetoric, this kind of a threat going on, how do you think the system will operate? So I feel that the politicians thrive on the divisions that they create, whether it's a transgender game in Europe, in Olympics, or anything else that goes on. Everything is a function of divide and rule. So in my opinion, as I believe, the threat of nuclear World War III, while it is very, very real, I think it is being played upon, because there is a very direct threat that the rest of the democracies face, and that's something which I want to mention here. The Third World War will not resemble anything that the World War One or World War Two were, which were localized hand-to-hand combat and on land, real war between two ideologies or countries involved in it. The Third World War will be a global war. And why I say that every country would like to avoid it is for the simple reason that it is very easy to disrupt any country, any society, any economy through local insurgencies. How easy it is, or how easy it can be, you can figure out that even the presidential candidate Donald Trump was shot at where there was a total security lapse. Think about it for a moment. Donald Trump could be in the coffin, lying right now, if he had not tilted his head one way or the other. So there is a real serious threat that the elements can disrupt any civilized society in a manner that is unforeseen. The creation of threats, the creation of disruption is very real. It's so possible that the terrorist elements the elements that are against you, instead of fighting a regular war, they can blow up a bridge, they can blow up a factory, they can blow up a housing complex, they can blow up a tunnel, they can blow up anything they want. Think about it. How devastating it will be for common men and women to lead a normal life. Living in New York, having seen the Hamas driven, blockages of bridges, tunnels, and what have you that happen in America, you can imagine with 10 million more immigrants sitting here, all able bodied, all young people. I do not know where they come from. Nobody knows them. So the question is, those elements, the extreme elements on both sides of the aisle, can cause a real havoc in real societies, in the real life of the people. So when a war is fought, India, Pakistan fought a 1971 war, ordinary citizens were only reading the news. Soldiers were fighting the war on the border. Today, it can be disruption of the social life. And that's what I feel, that while the political element, the geopolitical interests will drive a conflict one way or the other, but that will be for political bargaining, that will be political, what you call slamming, or it will be for a regime change that we see all the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I feel there is unlikely there will be a World War III as we know about World War I and II. What we are seeing right now, that we are already in a war-like situation, because the institutions of democracy are being shaken up. They are being disrupted. And that's where it is causing inconvenience to you and I. Whether it's a market driven, whether it's technology driven, in every sense of the term, we are at war already. For example, to fulfill a particular agenda, you have to do something. Somebody has to pay. Today, people in America are paying the price of what is popularly known as Bidenflation and shrinkflation. Yesterday, we bought some food item in a restaurant. What used to come in a big carton of this size came yesterday in this size, more expensive. That's what is reality. And people are now really sick and tired of this entire thing. If the political system doesn't tone up, doesn't become follow the dharmic way, you are going to look at a scenario where there will be disruptions galore. And to that end, I feel that we need to get ready for that. Collapses. You have seen that if electrical grid goes off, what can happen? When if the satellites go flat, we will not be able to communicate. We will feel so helpless. So there are many more ways of war and disruption, but a global World War III is not going to happen. That's my take. Thank you very much for watching us today. Please like, subscribe, and support our channel, support our efforts, and we will keep bringing you thoughts that might make you think. Satyameva Jayate, as I always say, truth must triumph, but for truth to triumph, you and I need to stand up for it. Thank you. Namaste.